Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Ooh. Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, Talks and Tarot. I'm super excited. Super excited. We're on week 3 of the 7-week sensory experience. This is all about awakening your senses as a form of meditation. And I'm always so excited because as I do all of these topics, my life is super affected by it. And I can really see that just where your attention goes, your life flows. And this week we are on the sense of sight. Blessings. Thank you for being here. Hi. So yeah, I want a few people to kind of come on in. I know a lot of people watch this replay and I'm live here on Facebook. I see someone here, so drop me maybe like an icon, the icon, I see you icon. My name is Lisa Mehta. I've got so many new people in my group and following me these days that I want to just say, my company is Metamorfize. And I'm all about helping you see things differently, talking about sight today. It's all about perspective shifting in your life. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you keep on seeing something the same exact way, then that's exactly what you're going to keep getting, the same exact thing. So a lot of what the work I do in the Metamorphize world, Metamorphize land, is to get you to think about what you're thinking about. Because a lot of what is being created in your life is coming from your thoughts. And actually, what you see on the outside, these results, this result seeing on the outside, comes from first your thoughts. And if you're not liking your results, and I'm really encouraging you to start looking at what you're thinking about, because everything is created twice. First in your mind as a vision, as an idea, as a thought. Well, mostly as a thought, but for it to become a vision into fruition, you have to put aligned action to it. So I want to mention I have some infinite spaces in the Self-Mastery Lab. The Self-Mastery Lab is a monthly membership that I'm doing, and the way that this census series is set up is actually to give you an idea of how the lab works. It's all about self-inquiry. It's all about getting you to think about what you think about, but targeting your thoughts, staying in a group community. We have trainings and breath work and group coaching. You have access to me, so I will be there to help you with these perspective shifts. Because I always say, it's not that we fall down, it's how quickly we can get back up that really defines self-mastery. And the lab is called the Self-Mastery Lab. How well do you know yourself? How quickly can you turn your inner critic into your inner coach? Can you see obstacles as opportunities? So that's what we do in there. All right, let's get into today's topic. I see you, sight. Okay, so let's first, take a moment and just define it. Sight, eyesight, vision, this probably, as I was reading on it, people were considering this the most important sight, sense, which I think it's pretty up there as we, need to navigate the world, literally, like what we see and how we move. And I would like to also invite us during this time to see sight as 2 different things. One is, yes, what we see around us visually, but then also this third eye, the inner sight, which last night I did a meditation. You can go on and check that out. It was really kind of zen and beautiful to tap into your inner seeing. And, vision boards have been around for a really long time. I don't think it's a secret that if you have something around you and you're looking at it and it's constantly coming into your mental sphere, it will ultimately start to affect your outside. So vision has so much to do with vision in, what you're seeing within yourself, but then also vision out. And I also talk a lot about if you can use your outer world to affect your inner world. So your outer vision, like what am I seeing around me? Does it reflect what I want in my life? Or what am I envisioning inside so that I can create it on the outside? I want to share that this is something that I'm looking at right here. It's on my wall right in front of me. And it's what I'm envisioning in, envisioning out. It's very simple. It's sacred partnership. And, it's what I want to look at every day to remind me of what I'm creating. And so I want, this week to invite you to look around you. And is what is around you, does it represent things that you want in your life? Are you living in an environment that is holding the vision of where you're going? I'm super excited, actually. I just did one in DC, and then on Friday, I have one of my high vibe days where I go into people's spaces and we actually do this type of inquiry. We go, okay, where are you going? And we make the space hold the vision of where you're going, not where you've come from. Hey, Liz, welcome, welcome. So yeah, my high vibe days are all about having a vision of where you're going. And so on Friday, I'm super excited because I'm going to go and we're going to rearrange the space with one of my clients and really get it to match her vision. Because you know what? We can get stuck in old stuff and forget to actually clear it out. And then, we keep on adding stuff onto it and the vision gets clouded and then it gets confusing because we don't know what's the old stuff and what's the new stuff. And so honoring this process. All right, I kind of jumped actually to like what I wanted to end with there, but I'm going to see, let's see. I just wanted to talk about that just having sight means the ability to see. And the more you read about sight, the more you realize like the eye sockets and like the whole function of the eye is so complex. It's amazing like how it's basically light coming in, but because light can't bend, it hits the, oh shoot, I forget what it hits. The cornea? That bends it, that then projects it upside down into the back of your head. And then it's your brain that does so much work to perceive something. So this is what I think is the interesting thing about sight. Seeing it is one thing, but the way that our brain then processes it and then takes it through portals and funnels and lenses of old and new and current, it's like that's where we can actually not, so seeing is one thing. It's like the more we can see something, oh, I actually did this because this week I wanted everyone to light a candle and watch the flame. You'll see the prompting this week. But the more, so this candle, it's just candle. It is it's neutral. It is a candle, it's white, it has a flame, there's nothing charged to it. But once it moves through my mind and it goes through all the different lenses, it hits the personalization and the perceptions, and then the way that we then bring meaning to things. And it's important to remember that you're the one bringing meaning to things. A lot of things are actually quite neutral or can be seen as neutral. And then, of course, like we're human, and that's almost one of our superpowers that we have is to bring meaning and to have emotion and respond to the inner and the outer world. But this is also what can create suffering, because we can attach different emotions to different things. So, okay, the whole process that I described, which I basically didn't even describe in full, is called your visual system. So we've got this visual system that's in work, and our brain is working really, really hard on a daily basis to do all that perception. And then the nerves from the eyes connect to the optical cortex at the back of the brain. So, I'm not getting into the science of the whole like eyesight stuff. You can look that up. But I just wanted to touch upon it in the slightest way just to let you know it's a very complex system that we're working through on a daily basis to constantly see things, perceive them, make meaning of them, and then take action. And that's exactly what manifesting is. But it's all, think about that in the inner world. I got to see something in my mind first that I want as a vision. Then I need to align my thoughts, my light, literally my light energy to it. I got to think positive about it, which is part of that light. And then I have to take action on it. So what's happening literally as this process of our eyes is also the same process of manifesting. Our eyes are used to give us information about our surroundings. And in a most primal sense, like danger, safety, it's bumping into things as far as, for our blessed people that are in the seeing world. And And then also that unseen world of like your vision inside, the deep, deep depth of seeing beyond this world of matter. And I think, you know, they say, I always say, like, well, not I don't say this, but if you can see it in your mind's eye, then you can create it in your life. And that's both comforting and kind of scary too, because you're like, holy shit, I can create anything. Yeah, I've had that moment of like the fear around like, does that, okay, for me, I had a fear, like, I was like, whoa, that's a lot of responsibility now in my life, that I now am responsible for being the creator of my life, which is basically, hi Mindy, basically why my tagline is be the creator of your life. Is the minute I started to take responsibility for that, I wasn't scary anymore, it was the way through. But I'm curious, like, does knowing that everything in your life is coming from you, like a thought you're having, does that empower you or does that scare you? Just drop me something in here for a minute, because I'm just curious. Or did it once scare you and now is empowering you? All right, and while you guys do that, I'm just going to look at, so your ability to visualize the life you want is an amazing gift. And that when you give yourself the opportunity to travel within, which to me is like meditation and a necessary thing for self-mastery and self-inquiry, you can create your desired future in your mind. Everything is created twice. First, up in here. You have to see it. You don't have to know how you're getting there, but you do have to see parts of it in your mind. And it can still be loose. Both? Liz, okay, cool. Well, that's a great place to be. That's a great place to acknowledge, like, you know what? This is both scary because I am the creator, but also maybe exciting because I can now start to, what does that feel like to start to take a little more responsibility and to not take it, almost take your own results personally, but have that neutrality I was talking about, where then you're bringing the meaning to everything. So why not bring the meaning to what you're seeing as next, not no, or closer instead of not happening. You know, it's like everything's building and you're gathering information instead of I haven't achieved it yet. The responsibility of knowing that I can create it is a bit overwhelming, but it's also really exciting. It depends on my mood. Totally. Me too. Me too. Right now. Also, when you start to get really clear, well, in two different spaces. One, if you feel lost and you're just like, oh God, like, how do I even pull the thing I want to create out of the ethers? Because I'm just like, ah. And then the other, so that's like the opposite of what I'm about to say, which is then you're super clear about it and you just have to start to like figure out how to get there. And then that's a different, but you know what? I think I'm better with that one. Because like taking action, you start to just like, that's the whole thing about, all my work in the programs, like 5 minutes a day, just step by step, like you can get there. I think not knowing is a bit harder. Okay. So, we've talked about all the senses in week 1 just being here for us to gather information about our surroundings. And so this one is about what we see. And like I mentioned, safety through the world, recognizing faces, so friend versus enemy, what we read and write, otherwise how we learn. Like a lot of what we learn in our life is entering through our eyes. Which is why I think meditation is also super important, because if you close it out, then what are you then turning your gaze towards is yourself. If you're literally closing your eyes, then you're really saying, okay, what am I willing to see? And you'd close out what other people are saying and thinking and trying to project onto you. And you're allowing yourself to have that time for inner vision. And I think the more you have the time for that inner vision, Liz, especially, this is related to that, the less overwhelming it is, because on a daily basis, it adds up. By the way, Liz, do you meditate? I don't know if I've ever asked you that. Okay, so, Yes. So we're talking about visual roadmaps, and then I talked about filling your day with reminders, and I was just showing you that mine simple one right now. I mean, I have had the most elaborate vision boards, and you know what? I'm just keeping it simple right now. There's a lot inside of just this one picture that I know that I'm working on a daily basis, what this means to me, what old patterns I need to let go of just to have what I know this represents. And so for me, you know, one thing for the vision is sufficient for me right now. It's very powerful, actually, focus on one thing. So, all right, let's see. Did I get everything? I think I did. The last thing I was going to say is, like, the way my site has played probably the most profound impact in my life is traveling. And I've, you know, if you've known anything about my whole life, is that traveling was part of my number one thing that I've done for myself. I've been to 44 countries now, which depends on what crowd you hang with. Sometimes that's a lot, sometimes that's a little, but for me that's a lot. I dedicated and I made a lot of sacrifices for me to value seeing the world, like seeing different cultures, opening my perspective so that I could, it's almost like the more I got to see and the more different cultures I opened my eyes to, the more I felt like I was living inside of a robust lens of life. Like the more you know, right? Knowledge is power. And yeah. So yeah, traveling, and I think forever it will be my traveling in nature, like how I see the lens in which I look through nature and the way that I feel like I've now been able to really use nature as my guru. You know, it is the source for me of learning. And I am reading actually 2 books right now. One is on some brain science, which is kind of dorky, and the other one is on intimacy, the Osho intimacy book. I'm revisiting that one. But recently, I don't know, I just had a wave of like, I feel like reading again. I don't know if you all go through that, but it's just like I'll start a million books and never finish them. And then now I'm like, I'm ready. I think I'm just like really wanting to absorb some new information through my eyes. So, all right. And then, you know, I didn't talk about this so much today because we've done this before, but the third eye, I mean, your third eye is your inner intuition. It's that space that does know what you want and allows you to see beyond, you know, our 3-dimensional world, which I think is really important to spend time with. And it is the ajna in Sanskrit. Ajna, it's right here. And yeah, it provides perception beyond ordinary sight. So it feels like sight is like a simple sense with the most complicated system in our bodies. So that's an interesting thing, and I want to say that, like, I do not, I mean, talk about being grateful, and I do not take my sense of sight for granted, and I am so, like, loving to look at art and make art and look at people and colors and just, you know, grateful for my sense of sight. So let's pick some cards today, and drop me a number if you're here. Let me know what number. I'm going to pick an Osho card for you in relation to sight and vision, and we can really look at this as in, you know,